But before we let Ryan go, because he's so in depth in college and he knows his college stuff, I just want to talk to you about some quick hires. Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan. Were you shocked? And were you shocked that he took the Chargers job?
No, not for a second. It came out, I think, in December, where he was talking to some ESPN talking head, and he was saying something about how he loves Justin Herbert. So even, I'm a Falcons fan, and yes, I've lived through 28-3. I've lived through all kinds of craziness.
Damn.
I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry.
It's all good. At this point, they're nothing but scars and calloused over. So, but I definitely did not think that he would go anywhere but to the Chargers. Because of, what I heard about him loving Justin Herbert, but I think he'll do really well. Obviously, he's done well in the NFL before, so I don't see that anything would really change. I think he does well with Justin Herbert because we just saw what he did in college with let's face it, with a quarterback who's not elite.
Thank you.
He's not an elite quarterback. He was surrounded by great weapons. I mean, that running back that Michigan, he's one of my favorites.
Both running backs are great.
Yeah, dude's just a baller. But yeah, I think Harbaugh does well with the Chargers because of what he can do with quarterbacks that resemble the quarterback that he was.
Well, let's roll right into your team since it's your specialty.
Yeah.
Raheem Morris gets hired to the Atlanta Falcons, which I thought was the best job of them all. I'm shocked. I thought maybe Belichick would have gone there. I think it would have been a bad move. But thoughts on Raheem? Do you like the hire? And where do you see this playing out?
I love the hire. I absolutely love it. And I was excited when he was the Falcons interim coach. You saw the Falcons started that year under Dan Quinn 0-5. They end up 4-7. At one point, they were, I think, very close to being 500, right? And he wasn't even the head coach. Like I said, he was the interim. So he came in after an 0-5 start and willed them to, a 4-12 finish. So, and some of those wins came in bunches too. And they had a dominant win over the Raiders that year. That was probably their most complete game where they played cohesively. So
that totally leaves my mind. I had no idea what you're talking about.
I figured I would throw that one in there, but no, I love the hire. Honestly, I think that he'll do really, really well. I've never seen a coach get hired and have the praise that he is having and of the entire league, right? You have players, you have Jalen Ramsey, you had the Rams that are completely behind him. I thought it was a great hire. I honestly didn't want Belichick. I really didn't, because when I look at coaches, and I didn't really like Arthur Smith either, honestly, because when I look at coaches, I look at who the personnel was when they succeeded. Arthur Smith had a skill guy that was built like a D lineman that he could hand the ball off to in Tennessee in Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry damn near went for 2,000 yards in his last year. So that's kind of an X factor for me. When you look at Belichick, honestly, I mean, he had Brady. Let's call it what it is. He had Brady. Yes, they did have the year where Mac Jones was doing some really cool things as a rookie, but he also had a different offensive coordinator. That was the last year that he actually named an offensive coordinator in McDaniel. So I didn't want Belichick to come to Atlanta. It's not a good fit. Energy-wise, it's not a good fit. And from what I'm reading, he wanted way too much control over the team. And Arthur Blank is a very loyal guy, and Rich McKay is his guy. Even though Rich McKay is kind of pulled off of football operations now, he still didn't want to get rid of Rich McKay. So I think that was something that they really looked at, because Belichick wanted way, way, way too much power over personnel and over a number of things. Raheem Morris comes in, and I think he's an innovative guy. He's a galvanizer. He honestly reminds me of the Falcons' Dan Campbell, because Dan Campbell came in for Detroit and is doing amazing things to just galvanize that team. That's why Detroit is who they are, right? It's not because obviously, yes, they have Hutchinson and he's an absolute beast, but you have a guy at the top that embodies what the perspective and the mentality of teamwork really, truly needs to be. And I think that's what Raheem Morris will certainly do for the Falcons.
I love me some Dan Campbell, man. Before we let you go,
I got a quick question on your team. Were you expecting an OC hire, given that your defense was really good this year and your offense was really the main point in lacking?
I wouldn't say I was expecting it. The reason that I wanted Raheem Morris is because he's worked on both sides of the ball. He's been a wide receivers coach. He's been a defensive QC. Like he understands multiple facets of the ball. He's just a ball coach, right? So like that's really what you need is a guy that just knows ball, and not a guy that says he's a me guy. If he was on the Pivot podcast and I watched that with Ryan Clark and it's just like he was not a guy that wanted to point to himself a lot. And that's really why I'm like, okay, this guy's a galvanizer. He's going to bring in, hopefully he brings in Evero, because I would love to see Evero come in and be the guy under him. But honestly, I wasn't expecting to get an offensive coach. I know that the offensive coach is like the new hot thing, but I want something like Detroit has in Dan Campbell, even though Dan Campbell is more of an offensive guy, but I wanted a guy that had that same type of mentality as a fan, that brought in guys that could really put the puzzle pieces together, instead of a guy that was just like, we have no OCs, we have no coordinators. I'm just the guy. He can call plays sometimes, but overall I'm the guy. And that's why I didn't want Belichick, because I think the game, like Nick Saban, has kind of passed him by.
1,000%.
I have a question. Falcons need a quarterback. Do you want Fields? Do you want to show up in the draft?
Yeah, finish this puzzle.
Get
Finish
a young QB. I need the whole thing.
Finish the piece of the puzzle. Let's wrap up at Atlanta. If you're the GM, what do you do at quarterback? Who do you want as your quarterback?
I'm kind of torn, right? Because, and like I said, I feel like Raheem Morris is a galvanizer. So I think that he's a guy that can work with a Justin Fields who's been in the league for a very long time. But I also think that he can speak the language of these new NIL babies, right? These new kids coming out of college that are used to kind of getting their asses powdered a little bit. I'm from what I'm hearing, it's Jaden Daniels coming out of LSU that they really want. At least he's in the mix. And not only that, but they are probably going to be interviewing the LSU OC here in the next coming days too. So that's kind of putting the puzzle together. From what I've been reading from reports, is that they are requesting to have the OC of LSU come in and interview for the OC job with the Falcons.
Man, Ryan,
don't steal our guy.
Man, Ryan, you are stealing my flow. You're stealing my bars, word for word, man. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted Jaden and the OC from LSU. That's a great call. The problem is you guys are in position to actually do it without, trading out. But my God, before we let you go, Ryan, I just want to ask about where you headed. What do you have going on? How can people follow you? I know you got a ton of things, a podcast. If you could plug those, and I would love for these people. I mean, you've been amazing, this interview. So informative and so on point. What do you got going on, and how can people follow you?
They can follow me everywhere, man. It's Mr._R Holmes on all social media, whether it's Instagram or Twitter. Like you said, I write for Intermat every single week. We do a wrestling show. I normally cover Big Ten along with another guy. But then I have the other guys that cover the other conferences, the ACC and the EIWA, on the show with us. And we just really discuss wrestling, right? We have guys that are, like I said, discussing the EIWA. They're discussing the ACC. We're discussing the Big Ten. And it's called Conference Crossover Conversation. Every single week we discuss what happened during the week. And that's really what I'm doing in the wrestling side. And then I have my own podcast as well called the Athletes to Athletes podcast, where, we're changing some things up. We're going to get a little bit more topical. We're going to talk a little bit more about transfer portal, more about college stuff, because the premise of the entire company, so the company is called Athletes to Athletes. Our founder put the company together because he was a college athlete. He played baseball in college, and he got the shiny pamphlet during his recruiting trip. That's what everybody gets, right? It's just like the movie, The Program, where you get there and all the dancing girls are there, and that's what right? He gets all
best college football movie of all time. The Program, the best.
Time. Love it.
Love it. Used to watch it before every season. But remember, he gets there after he signs, and he's like, where's all the dancing girls and the band and everything else?
Where's Holly Berry now?
Exactly, right? So that's what we're trying to avoid for these kids. So that's really what the premise of the entire company is. We help kids with figuring out what college they should go to, helping them read the fine print of what these contracts truly are. We work with all student athletes from any division 1, 2, 3, NAIA, no matter where you want to go. If you want to be an athlete on the next level, we're there to literally help you for a year, 2 years, 4 years through grad school, really whatever you want. So we have counselors that help with that.
It's fucking genius.
Yeah.
But my podcast every single week, we have some people on, and like I said, we're going to be changing some things up where it's me and the two founders that are discussing some of the kind of the pressing topics that go on in college. But then we'll also have a featured athlete of the month that we interview all the time. I've interviewed a number of athletes, people that were in the band, people that were on the track team. I don't want just one trick pony type people. I want people from all walks of life to come on, talk about their experiences, the pitfalls, the good, bad, ugly, recruiting, whatever they really experienced during their college years. I want to hear about it. And that's the people that I want on my show. Like I said, I love speaking life into these stories. So that's what the Athletes to Athletes podcast is about.
Oh, man, I got a guy right here, executive producer right here, CJ, center out of St. John Bosco, was center for DJ Uyangalele, and he's just nodding his head like, I needed you like 3 years ago very badly. Yeah, no, I mean, this is something that a ton of kids need. This is a great flag to raise, and you could help a ton of kids, man. This is great. Ryan, I thank you so much for coming on.
Listen, before I go, I gotta give a little hat tip to the man that was DJU center, because I'm also a Florida State fan, so he better be tearing it up this year.
You already know, man.
Thank you, Ryan, man. You are incredible. I hope that you can come back on and bless us with your knowledge. I know it took a while. I know it's not on Zoom, but we're going to try to get some clips of you. Everyone, give Ryan Holmes a big round of applause, man. Thank you, Ryan, and I'll be in contact with you. I'm going to send you some gear. All right, man?
For sure, fellas, for sure. Be in contact. I'll come on anytime. Anytime you need me, just hit me up. I'm right here with the mic.
I appreciate it, man. Look, guys, I told you, another home run out of the park. That's my man, Ryan Holmes.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, just incredible, good stuff, and on point with his analysis. By the way,
Great stuff.